Welcome to Yarrercast. It's 30th of April 2020, 10 PM, first day. This week's headlines. Yarr22 announces collaboration with Faithful Feather on brand new production series Ayran and Aora, an audiobook, audio drama series that is now open for casting. But also, Yarr22 announces out of YouTube on May 16th. He will be putting down all his art, production and YouTube related things all the way through till end of July to take care of examinations. Happening this week in Hong Kong, multiple police clearance operations in protesters as well as public gatherings in shopping malls in Hong Kong. And also, government-induced plan to reopen borders as well as cut down public restrictions. And people worry that it could lead to a coronavirus case spike once again in Hong Kong. Welcome to this week's Yarrcast. I'm Yarr22, and let's get right into the episode. Hello everyone, Yarr22 here, and welcome to another absolutely amazing, beautiful, sunny day here in Hong Kong. It may look sunny, but there's a lot of things that's going behind, and there's a lot of goodbyes to bid, a lot of things to tell and say. If you're in Hong Kong, you may be listening to this near your bedtime comfort. Perhaps you may be missing school. Perhaps you may have been laying on that bed for a super long time because you just don't feel like getting up and setting up your computer for the internet classes today. But I'm here for you, and that's all that matters. As for whatever time you're listening to this right now, I do wish that you have an excellent day today and perhaps work on the things that really have been bugging you the most. Try to make it a little bit better, try to do the things you love. Trying to make things a little bit better for yourself. That's a lot of news intro just now. There's been quite a lot of things going on, and there's going to be a lot of topics I'm going to cover today. So this week's episode may be a little bit longer, but we'll also be continuing on the last two episodes I'm going to make before the examination deadline. So yes, it is true, I think you may have already seen the casting call video I have uploaded by Monday or Tuesday, forgot. We are indeed casting for Ayran and Aora. It is going to be an audiobook series, an audio drama thing. I do not think we have the possibility of making it like Pet Peeves 12. 12 really struck me as a series that really just took a rather radical decision in between art quality and production quantity. The art style in 12 is just generic, but the story itself just holds up. And the problem with us now is there are quite a lot of future plans that is going to take up a lot of my time, and I can't devote my entire time on YouTube. Especially starting this September. So that's why we're going to cut down on it and make it just a simple audio podcast thing that has a nice little art cover. Of course, if possible, someday I may as well consider animating or finding everyone up, just like, hey, let's do a PMV out of this. It is a very difficult decision, but Ayran and Aora, although I've been working on it for quite some time, it is a relatively new project, and that's why I'm not going to put that much of an effort into it. After all, it's just a fanfiction wrote in between me and Faithful Feather, a fanfiction that weaves through the two series just a little bit miraculously fittingly. And that's why I don't think too much of an effort should be made on this into making sure that this really does make it well. The story absolutely has to work out but I don't think art will be too much of a point that we need to ensure before presenting to all of you. After all, that is not my initial sworn animated series. The Southern regions, it really is taking forever, and given that experience, I don't think Ayran and Aora is going to be made just like the Southern regions. We are not going to be animating it, unfortunately. But it is open for casting calls, and we're going to be opening casting calls for future episodes after episode 1 airs, or by the time it airs, which should be this summer. And it is to note that if you have any voice acting friends, or if you know anyone, please do send this out to people who may be interested in voicing a character in Ayran and Aora. Ayran and Aora's first episode casting call deadline is May 11th, as we are going to be making sure that we get all the cast settled before I leave YouTube and production for about 2 months for examinations. That's why I'm hoping to get this done quick. You can find the Casting Call Club website in the description below, or you can also refer to the document in the video that leads to the casting call, also in the description below, about audition details and further specifications, and you can find out how the characters look like in the casting call video. So what kind of exam is exactly bugging me from doing art and animation and YouTube and productions? Well, this is very, very unfortunate, but I will be leaving YouTube on May 16th. That is also the day when I take my IELTS. I will set my GCSE as cancelled this year because of the coronavirus. I will be taking my IELTS on May 16th. From that day onward, I will no longer be doing art, animation, music, writing, well, maybe a little bit of writing if I feel like it. But I won't be doing any of these. I won't be doing YouTube. I won't be doing any of those things that I've been doing. Shut up, my gosh. Why did I start to do art and animation in the first place? Why did I start to do YouTube in the first place? Well, of the recent season of Yarrercast, which I'm going to coin it as a season, perhaps season 1, or maybe season 2, to those who may have been watching my gaming and streaming videos before I did art and animation. This season started this February because of school suspension. We're currently in our 13th week of school suspension. The education authorities are proposing to have school resuming after the DSE, which would be May 25th, adding up to 16 weeks of school suspension. And you can very much imagine how 16 weeks of school suspension and staying at home does to a person's mind. While people may consider gaming all day and all night, I used the opportunity to improve in art, animation, storytelling, music, and many more. I'm actually pretty glad that I've achieved this many things, joined 3 maps, and did so much of art and animation in the past 3 months. And the most excellent and incredible thing of all is, I get to join multiple productions, especially productions who really do value me a lot. I have been leading productions, the Southern regions for instance, but it hasn't been going on quite well. While I have an absolutely amazing team of 30 talented people, we haven't gotten much into the progress yet. And that is quite a big issue, so I'm trying to learn from others. And I'm very, very glad to be part of Asher Fager's Loading Burn project. And I think I'm just going to learn a lot more from there. Of course, besides all that, I've recently received quite some emails on Casting Call Club asking me to be a pianist of their singing group. Of course, I would like to help, just let me have this examination. Why would this examination matter so much? Well, there is this one rather terrible, unprecedented plan that I never thought of until the protest in 2019. As you have known, Hong Kong has gone through quite a lot of terrible things in the past year. In June, there were massive protests against the government's extradition bill, sending fugitives into the rather difficult to determine if the judgment is actually humane, mainland China. And from that day onwards, we saw police brutality. We saw the government abusing the rule of law. We saw the government using and changing the laws, even as deep into the basic law. Article 22, the mainland liaison office. They were completely changing the 22nd article without any public notice or consultation. They changed their own definition, breaking their own law. And this is getting out of control. Firstly, there are the protests in June. Then, there is July 21st. The police did not help in the pro-Chinese side, attacking on citizens and pro-democratic protesters alike. Inside the train, inside the station, there was blood everywhere. You see all the pictures online. It's true. Then there's August 31st, the night in Prince Edward Station where the police in clearance operation rushed into MTR stations and beat up pro-democratic protesters and citizens alike, just like the pro-Chinese people at Yuen Long Station. The most outrageous thing is, not only did they not give protesters a chance to comply with the clearing command and leave by taking public transport, they also obstructed paramedics' arrival into the station to save injured protesters. And then there is October 1st, the first real gun shot into the chest. Fortunately, the protester did not die, but the police fired a real round into the protester, and they've been shooting live, real bullets ever since. And then there's the siege of the Chinese University and Polytechnic University in November. What made matters worse was after the district council election in November, government departments as well as police have been disrupting district councils from operating. Today is April 30th. To those who are in Hong Kong, one rather important message to you. Please verify your voting status, whether you are eligible to vote in the Legislative Council election this year. The deadline for any updates or any changes is May 2nd, this Saturday. The rigged thing about Hong Kong politics is, we don't choose our chief executive. Carrie Lam, we didn't choose her. It is chosen by a small selection of representatives that do not represent us. They represent mostly mainland businesses and mainland stakeholders. And then there's the Legislative Council. While we vote for 35 out of the 70 seats in the council, there are 35 who are not chosen by us, but selected by minor sectors of financial representatives, different other professions, and most of them are pro-Chinese. And the worst thing of all is, they are not chosen by the people. They do not represent the people. And despite pro-Chinese is not able to win ever since the very first Legislative Council. They are not able to win over 50%. In the public votes of the Legislative Council, they got more than 35 seats in the Legislative Council. And this has to change. I am merely a teenager studying secondary 4. I have no right to vote. But if you can change it, you can. Because if you don't change it, even worse things are going to come. What worse things are going to come, and what has made me to rather take this final examination seriously? I can tell you. Firstly, they're going to be sending every single one of us into re-education camps. Because we hold a different opinion to the mainland government. We hold a different opinion, and they're just going to send us into re-education camps until we come out telling the world that we're going to be standing with the Communist Party. It's literally brainwashing. You want that to happen in Hong Kong? Okay, even worse than that. We're going to be forced to not speak Cantonese. What is Cantonese? Cantonese is our mother tongue. It is every single Hong Konger's mother tongue. Cantonese is a reflection of ancient Chinese. It has 9 tones. And it is built off the 4,000 years of Chinese linguistic evolution. You put Cantonese into ancient lyrics and poetries in the Tang Dynasty, Song Dynasty, it fits perfectly well. To not be able to speak Cantonese, but to speak Putonghua. Not only China is killing its own culture, but also it is killing the diversity in a country that it has once celebrated itself. And even worse, a lot of people are going to start disappearing. You know what happened in the Causeway Bay bookstore? The owner disappeared after traveling outside, not to mainland China, and then he reappeared in mainland China, admitting that he sold books not to the Chinese government's likes. He returned to Hong Kong. Unfortunately, thanks to the Taiwanese government, or some can say Republic of China, he managed to set up a bookstore in Taiwan that still uses the Causeway Bay bookstore's name. Hong Kong is very fortunate to have Taiwan as a shield, as a backup should Hong Kong even fall. But Hong Kong cannot fall. But I see the odds as a rather devastating one, which is very, very terrible indeed. Very soon, internet censorship is going to fall upon us. Somewhere mid-May, the mainland Chinese Communist Party is going to host its own general meeting. It's an annual meeting, and who knows what's going to be happening this year. They could be sending up secret plans to invade, to slowly erode Hong Kong as we know it, in the blink of an eye. Whatever dastard, wicked plans they're brewing up in their meeting in Beijing this May, that just vanishes Hong Kong in a snap of finger, I'm done for. I won't be hosting YouTube channels anymore. I won't be using Discord anymore. I can't even use Google. When they put a firewall upon Hong Kong, I'm done for. I don't need to even do anything. I'm vanished from the face of the world. Is that the Hong Kong that we all want to see? Is that the Hong Kong that we had hoped for, that England had hoped for when they transferred Hong Kong back to mainland China in 1997? Tell Say it! This is what's happening in Hong Kong. And I fear the meeting in May as well make things worse. So that's why there's this final road out of here that will perhaps not only save myself, the spirit of Hong Kong itself, but also save my artistic YouTube and my non-mainstream careers. The option is to go to England and study abroad. And this option can only be achieved if I study hard. Apparently, very unfortunately, I got a grade E in extended maths in my first term examination. If I am to go to England, because I will be studying mostly engineering and architecture related things, my first interest before art and animation, story writing, production, voice acting and music. First ever interest has always been transport and engineering. I'm a transport enthusiast, I love urban studies, and I love to design structures. And that's why I will have to make an excellent grade out of it. Even if I don't get an A, I need to get at least a B, an acceptable B. That's why I can't afford to do YouTube and art and animation, having it to disrupt my examination schedules. And that's why I'm going to leave. But when will I be back? I will be back once examination is over. Approximately the last week of July, as the school currently proposes to have us on summer holiday break by then. I think I've told you enough about Hong Kong's situation. Just a little bit of update. Around 18th April, you may have heard the news of 15 pro-democratic politicians being arrested by police for them joining the protests in 2019. And as recently, there has been multiple activities. I think one of them is still going on at the time of recording. A public protest in IFC Mall right now. It's Tuesday at the time of recording. Tuesday afternoon, obviously. And multiple police clearance has been going on as the government continues to abuse the more than 4 people gathering is illegal law. While other countries have managed to host protests of 1.5 meter distances in between each protester, Hong Kong can never do that because apparently when we just want to protest, the government already suppresses us. You may have been hearing a lot of news of what mainland China has been believing in the coronavirus. They're blaming it on the United States as usual. They're blaming it on everyone else as usual. I do appreciate the many governments who stood up against the Communist Party's regime. From the United Kingdom down to the small countries in Africa. Ethiopia, I believe. As well as the United States, and of course Taiwan. I do appreciate the formation of the Mute Alliance in between Thailand, Taiwan and Hong Kong as a defense against mainland internet users either being paid or not to completely critique and deflate people's very rights. While the conspiracy theories of the Wuhan P4 lab still grows, which I believe is also a plausible cause, though rather difficult to prove with the mainland government's secrecy. There is perhaps this one phenomenon that everyone has found out. You side with China, you win. You don't side with China, you don't side with China. Then you are going to be critiqued by its measly population. Why is that so? Why is this internet social outrage a phenomenon? Looking back, you can say it is perhaps in the communist times, when Mao Zedong was telling everyone that we need to get America out of Korea, as they sided with the North Korean regime. And you can see the social outrage. Everyone was putting up posters. Everyone was chanting Mao Yulu, Mao's words, by direct translation. Everyone was putting up red banners and all those pro-communism things. And what Chinese Communist Party even did, it did just like the Soviets. They censored news. They completely censored outside media. And only portrayed China as weak, as constantly under attack, especially in its time, by the Japanese, and before that, by the many Western powers at the end of the Qing dynasty. China has often portrayed itself as weak, and that fuels the outrage in people. They want China to be strong. And with this fake news and censorship, it fails them to become what they are today. It has built an everlasting impression in the backbone of Chinese communism. And although they have opened up, it hasn't been much. So that's been a lot of politics this week. Perhaps some final words? Well, I'm sorry guys. But after next week's Yarrercast, it will be the end of it for season 1 of Yarrercast, or my current season 2. I used to have gaming videos. One of my Yarrercasts is actually a Minecraft City video. And I don't know if I can actually set up my computer to do gaming ever again. Given all the DaVinci Resolve programs and also all the rather hefty, beefy programs that constantly crash my laptop. And obviously the shift from gaming to art and animation, as I am right now. Next week on the Yarrercast, I'm going to recap on all the things I have done and uploaded on YouTube. A small review of my own videos, as the final farewell note to YouTube of this season. I'd like to thank all of you for supporting me all the way through. From nobody to 37 subscribers and still going. It wouldn't have been possible without all of you. For your support as well as your appreciation in my art, animation, music, as well as these kind of generic radio podcasts. I also have learned a lot of things in all these kind of uploads. Perhaps I have already, unlike other people who are just gaming all day long, I have already achieved something in this quarantine period. School is possibly going to resume May 25th. By then, I would be still feeling energetic and ready. And yes, I will be leaving YouTube for 2 months until the exams are over, until I can finally get a good result of it and go to England. I know it sounds contradictory to some of my Hong Kong friends. Why aren't you staying and fight? Why aren't you standing here in Hong Kong and fighting alongside us? I regret to tell that after so many protests, I've never joined one. My parents did not allow me to do so. And perhaps you see the thing here. Parents have absolute power, just like how the Chinese government has absolute power on us. They have done so many things in the world. They have beaten Taiwan. They have made WHO be their puppets. They have made so many enemies and caused a pandemic with their slow and ineffective ways of stopping the virus. It has made itself many enemies, and it is strong enough to beat them down. We are at the front lines. I would very much like to join one of the protests, and I'm very much afraid to say one day, my parents are around, and I can't join protests, I can still continue to do these kind of adverts, a little bit of, you can say, propaganda or something, or just a little bit of encouragement to our many people at the front lines, fighting against the regime. But I have to leave. It's not just because I will have a greater chance to pursue art and animation, as well as do as many things as I like when I get there. It will also perhaps be our last line of defense should Hong Kong fall one day. Let's hope that it will not happen. As Hong Kongers, what can we do? Even if we can't go out and protest. What we can do is to believe in ourselves, strengthen our connection with our own identity as Hong Kongers, and to whatever degree, let your heart guide you. Let your heart lead you to your own actions, to speak up and stand up against the menacing regime. I haven't started writing Ayran and Aora episode 3, but I have already planned it. And here's a note to all the Hong Kongers out there, especially those who are medics in the terrible periods of police brutality in 2019. This episode of Ayran and Aora is dedicated to all of you who fought against regimes, no matter the chances. And I hope that we all can win this fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. And that is it for this week's Yarrercast. I'd like to thank all of you for supporting me all the way through, as well as the international alliances standing with Hong Kong, siding with us, fighting against perhaps one of the greatest unprecedented enemies of the 21st century. If you are new to this topic, I hope this has been an informative guide to you, introducing the brief problems that we are facing and the fights that we're going through. With all that being said, that's it for this week's of Yarrercast. We'll see you guys next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stand strong.